Hello, Packers fans. We are here at the NFL Scouting Combine. It is Tuesday. I'm JR Radcliffe. This is Tom Silverstein. And we just wrapped up a pretty good day. We heard from Brian Gutekunst in a number of capacities. He spoke at the podium, as well as with some local journalists, such as yourself, beforehand. And I think we should start with what we learned. This is obviously a formal setting where he's speaking. It's not like there's going to be a ton of scoops, per se. But it was a pretty lengthy session he held with local guys. So was there anything that jumped out at you that would be something that maybe you didn't know coming into this here in Indianapolis?
I think that we learned a little bit about how his philosophy on some of these draft things might pan out, but I found that he was pretty confident that the way they draft and their practices in terms of picking players matches up fine with Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, that they're not going to have to make a big adjustment in drafting guys. He pointed out that even though, edge rushers, speed guys aren't necessarily what they want at defensive end, that they usually draft bigger guys, like Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness. So I think he's here. I think probably the thing that stood out that wasn't draft related was that they're going to make some cap room and they're going to be ready for free agency. They're not necessarily going to make any moves, but they seems like he wants to be ready in case someone pops free that they want.
And how they're going to make the moves is obviously something people are going to be really interested in, particularly as it relates to David Bakhtiari. He's the guy who's going to give them a huge cap boost, $21 million of cap relief if they release him. But on the other hand, if he's healthy, he's still a star left tackle in the NFL. It's hard to say goodbye to a guy like that. But I know we spoke earlier. You thought there was really almost no way that he was going to be coming back. I don't think we heard anything that changed our minds on that today. No. Even with the cap raising the way it's going to across the league, you still think that's where we're at, that David Bakhtiari is probably on his way out here for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, and Gudakunst didn't really sugarcoat that. He said a decision will come in the next couple of weeks before free agency. And what other decision is there? Yeah. Other than to cut him. I don't think he's going to take a pay cut, and he's got a chance to be a starter somewhere else. And I think the Packers, have been pushed, to that limit with him, and it's time to move on to Rasheed Walker. He expressed a lot of confidence in Rasheed Walker, and really as a long-term prospect too. So.
Yeah, and that's, I wouldn't think of that as a slam dunk, but like you said, he was pretty effusive in his praise. Seems like he's inclined to keep Zach Tom and Elton Jenkins where they are, which would mean neither one goes to left tackle. Do you envision at this point, if they do indeed release Bakhtiari, that they are going to go offensive line in the first round of this draft? Are there still too many question marks to say that with any confidence? I mean, it feels like that would be where they're headed, but they do have the pieces if they need them.
Yeah, I am not really sure what direction they would go. I think this is really a draft where they aren't going to be able to address needs as much as they want. Right. I think they're going to have to address some of their needs in free agency. And because the strengths of the draft are not the strengths or right. the needs for what they want.
Like safety, for example.
Yeah, for safety, inside linebacker, right, yeah. Running back. They probably, it's possible. So it's possible that the strength of the draft is offensive linemen, quarterbacks, wide receivers. So maybe edge rush too. So any one of those positions could be the best player on their board when they get to it. They don't have to get a tackle in the first round. They don't have to get, a safety in the first round. It's usually a crapshoot to take safeties in the first round. They may, he was asked, would you take a wide receiver?
Of course, after years of this, they would do that now.
There's some really good receivers, some big guys with speed. Would they take one? I don't know, maybe. So I think this is going to be one of those drafts where they'll see how the board goes, and that'll determine how they're picked.
Could you imagine? They have not taken a first-round receiver since 2004. Could you imagine this is the year of all years? 2002. Yeah. Could you imagine if this was the year they did it? People would panic.
They would be, up in arms. Although they almost took one in the Jordan Love year. They were waiting on Brandon Ayuk and Justin Jefferson. At least that's what they said.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be something if they took a receiver in the first round.
So you alluded to it, the fact that free agency is more in play maybe than it has been in past years. Safety, given that it's a light draft for that, given that it is a crapshoot to take a guy in the first round, given that they have so many openings in that position room, it feels like that's the obvious move in free agency. Now, of course, Brian Gutekunst isn't going to betray that today. But is that what you think? Do you feel like if they're going to add in free agency, it's probably going to start in that position?
Probably. I think it would be now. I don't think it's going to be Antoine Winfield, Xavier McKinney. I don't know. Those guys, really good players, they get protected. Their teams keep them, find ways to keep them. What I think he needs probably is to, get a solid guy, someone that Hafley trusts 100%.
Sure.
That'll know the system, that can do the things he wants, maybe not at a Pro Bowl level, but you don't have to have a guy right away at a Pro Bowl level. They would like that. Maybe they take a guy in the second round, a safety in the second round, and get a veteran guy to hold down, the position until the second round pick is ready to play. I could see it being that kind of scenario. I don't think they're going to pay a ton, but I think he's saving money for if an Antoine Winfield somehow became free.
Sure.
Could they compete for it? Yeah, that would turn their team around.
Yeah. We'll meet some of the players tomorrow. It'll be linemen and linebackers. So I believe that's who we've got on Wednesday's schedule. So we'll get to know some players that maybe are future Packers. One last thought before I let you go. We learned today that Cherry Starr, the wife of Bart Starr, longtime wife of Bart Starr, had passed away. I'm just curious if you have any stories. I know you've gotten, over the years, you've gotten to know that family and had a lot of interactions with Bart. So what do you remember about Cherry Starr?
I actually haven't had any.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I never had any. I never met Bart Starr.
Oh, man, okay.
Around him. I got on the beat, well after he was.
You're not that old, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So the only thing I've seen was, I've seen them around, but I do remember when Bart made his last appearance at Lambeau, and that was on that Thanksgiving night.
Yeah.
With Rodgers and Favre were all
in the
there.
rain.
Yeah.
Brutal night.
That's the last time I've seen them. But I grew up watching the Packers, and Cherry Starr was always part of it with Rawhide and the charity work they did.
All right, we will be back with you again tomorrow. You can look for Tom's writings at PackersNews.com. I've got a little stuff on there. We'll have more videos. Check out our YouTube page at Journal Sentinel and PackersNews.com. We'll keep you updated with everything that's going on here in Indianapolis. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you again tomorrow.